you have such a short amount of time on a cold call. And you have to, like, people's maybe first instinct is just to just hang up or not say I'm not interested. And I've seen you use the best, funniest openers to just get people to at least give you 30 seconds. And I wanted to speak about how important that is and what are some of the key things we should keep in mind if we're going to go out and do cold calls.
So look, my technique is very simple. I want to maximize as much as possible the chances of them listening to my pitch, which is why I use a permission-based opener, meaning that I don't want to talk. Imagine your phone rings. You pick up the phone, and then you got someone spewing information at you. Your brain isn't ready for it. And no matter what the old style trainers say, who haven't made a cold call in this decade, this is just not as effective psychologically. You might get hung up on less, but you will get also listened less. And that's the trade-off I go for. So my start is I always go for a no-based question. So this would be like, if I told you it's a sales call, would you throw your phone out the window if I want to make it funny? If I told you it's a cold call, but a well-researched one, would you hang up anyway? Right? So like something like this. So the first thing is a no-phrase question because psychologically feels safer. And then that's the thing. People think, oh, well, if they say no. If they say no, I go, okay, is that because you hate cold calls or is it just my voice? Or because I'm ugly? Or because I'm blonde? Or because I'm Italian? Whatever, right? So I try to crack that. And that's the thing that most people get wrong is it's very easy to reject a salesperson. It's very hard to reject a human being. And that's the part. So the moment they realize this guy's a human, then they're more likely to connect. So you'd be surprised how often people say, no, I will throw your phone out the window, whatever. And then I'm like, is that because you hate cold calls or just my voice? And they're like, no, you got a fine voice. I just don't like cold calls. Okay, what if I promise to make this a good one? And then they're like, okay, fine, what are you selling? Right? Like, I even had a guy told me recently, I don't believe you. Well, give me 30 seconds, we'll find out. Go on there. And that's, that, and again, I'm trying to make it a little bit fun for the prospect. You probably haven't seen this, but once a week I do a cold calling comedy show where basically we cold call live for 1 hour and on Fridays, and the audience is giving us like stuff to do in the calls, which is funny. So like I booked a meeting with like, we don't know each other. If I was an apple and you were a pear, would you hang up right away or let me have 30 seconds to spare? And the guy just starts laughing, I had another one, like I started rapping. I was like, happy Friday to you, happy Friday to you. This is a cold, I was like, it's a cold call for you. No, it's a happy Friday for you. It's a cold for you. Would you hang up right now? Oh, hear me out for part 2.
Oh, God. But like all of this sounds like no cold call that anyone has received.
Yeah, exactly.
And what you spoke about, that was that little nuance of translating someone from a label of it's just a stupid salesperson, which is what people, it's just a manipulative, evil, slimy salesperson. That whole word is charged with a ton of negatives for the majority of the people. And the moment you translate that, hey, this is a human being, I think that's the most underrated part that most people forget in any way that they try to reach out to people and try to make a sale happen. Like, and to me, like right there is just like, even if you're reaching out on any medium, it seems like that's the first thing we have to do because we're so bombarded with messages, like overstimulated. And it's just like, it's so easy to just tune everything out, but to get attention, being like, wait, there's a human here. What do we do? I think that's the thing you do most brilliantly. And you speak about this permission-based, like telling them the facts right up front that, hey, this is a cold call, where most people are trying to call and hope that they don't realize that it's a cold call. Like,
it makes no sense.
Right?
It makes no sense. It's crazy. I agree.
So these are already some key nuggets in the way to do it. So like to get the attention seems to be the first step, but then you're faced with at least, you get only 30 seconds after they give you the human label, right? And then you have to go into at least like, then I'd say the number one mistake, and correct me if I'm wrong, is somebody would be like, okay, well, I'm a software salesperson and I'm going to do this and I can do it. And like you go and vomit all of your thing because now you have 30 seconds. So if I speak fast enough and say enough of the features and benefits, then they will be so blown away. They'll be like, stop my agenda, cancel all my meetings. We need to hear about this. Obviously not.
I love that. Yeah. And that's sadly what, well, look, I always do this in my trainings, but I'm sure you know you'll have the answer, but I ask you for the audience. What do you think is every person's favorite topic? Exactly.
For those who are only listening, did not see the fact that I pointed to myself.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I forget there's some people are maybe listening only, but yeah, so it's ourselves, and that's the problem is that salespeople forget that. And they also want to talk about themselves. They also want to talk about how amazing they are. And I think if you watch all of my videos, you probably find one where I talk about what is it that I do specifically. As in, like, that's discovery call material. That's meeting material. Like right now, like I don't want to, on the phone, you might be driving, you might be walking your dog, you might be with your mistress, and I'm going to tell you what I do. That's a terrible idea. The point is figuring out, do you have problems? And this is the crucial part, problems. Because people do not take action for a like little increase here and there. At least they don't have time. So I think there was a statistic from Gartner, which is fairly reliable, said 99% of B2B purchases are made to fix problems. Now, B2C may be a bit different because people get greedy, they'll spend money for things they don't need, blah, blah, blah. But still, if you're fixing a problem, you're far more likely to get their attention. And that's probably the second most important thing people think about, which is themselves and then their problems.
Yep. And that brings me to an element that I'd want to ask you is if you're doing the channel of cold calling, like how much research should you be doing on cold calls versus how much should you just be hammering down a list of prospects with a kind of formula of, added conversion versus volume at this point?
Look, it's a very good question. It's a bit hard to answer in the sense that I believe that the future of cold calling will be very targeted calls. I think prospects are tired of just like being a number on a list. I think the more targeted, the better. However, that shouldn't turn into, I'm just going to spend all day researching, which is then the balance. I mean, when I consult with companies and they're building the process from scratch, my tactic is the new recruits get what I call the C list. So they're not even the A account, they're not the B accounts, they're the C level accounts. And all they do, they cut in their teeth. They're trying to okay, they might not be the best prospects, they might not be the most relevant, they just want to understand. So they do go for the quantity and they practice, they learn rejection, they learn objections, etc. And then the more this increases, the more you move to the next step. The problem with this spray and pray, it's called in sales approach. I love that. I think it's such a good example, is that will be replaced by AI. Mm-hmm. Because if you can make 1,000 calls to random people with generic pitch, AI can do that. And honestly, it's easier to train an AI to not sound like an idiot than it is to train a human. So the future of the high ticketing outbound is by you having very targeted, very intelligent conversations. But you first need to go for the quantity in order to do that.
Yeah, for me, it's like I remember when I first started doing calls was there was a list of older prospects that hadn't been talked. I needed to go through my own graduation, because I was shaking and I would turn super red on the first calls, and I needed to kind of earn the right to get comfortable enough to have a more human approach. Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.